All right, thank you for joining in. Whew. So I had wanted to deal with my gadgets just going live, and thankfully, I think we've sorted that out. I guess. I guess we've sorted that out. So, welcome to today's episode on Kids Matters. So if you're just joining us today, welcome. If you're just streaming with us for the very first time, welcome once more. Welcome to Kids Matters. At Kids Matters, we have discussions around topics on parenting, family relationship, child development, and everything in between. So right here, we strongly believe in the truth of the gospel, and from the scriptures, we infer what and how to train children and how to respond to them. Yeah, that's what we do here. Let me try and get myself together because I've been stressing for about 30 minutes plus trying to figure this out. Okay, so yeah, at Kids Matters, we have conversations along the topics of parenting, um, child development, and family relationship, like I said earlier. And on today's episode, we are going to be treating a particular topic that is very, very essential. Right? Why is it essential? You say yes, all topics are essential, they're important for child growth and all. But today is very, very vital. And today's topic is teaching kids sexuality. Okay, so you might ask yourself, you might be asking, why do we have to teach them sexuality, being that they are still kids? Hmm. And you will agree with me that the world has changed. The society is getting um, terrible by the day. And we can't leave our children out there to be susceptible to all these vices. Okay? Yes, we can't be with them every second of their lives, but we can teach them and equip them for every second of their life. Okay, so to today's topic, teaching kids sexuality. Um, Firstly, you understand that there have been this growing incidences of abuse, of child abuse and molestation and what have you. And a lot of time on the large scale, a lot of persons that have gone through childhood abuse or molestation, it happened and they couldn't speak up. That is one. And some it happened because they didn't know what to do. And obviously, these are kids. You don't expect so much from them. Even adults, sometimes due to the shock, they don't know what to do. Okay, not to talk of kids. Okay, so to the matter of today, teaching kids sexuality. I would like to draw inference from the scripture we referred to last week when we spoke about what was last week topic. Well, I can just link it so that you can just go back and rewatch flow. So the scripture reference is train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. All right. So that scripture goes to say that when you train the child, when he's old. Training does not have to just, training is not just once. Training is usually a continuous thing, right? So when he's old, he will not depart from it. All right. So now, what is sexuality? Sexuality has to do with um, understanding your morphology, understanding and expressing your morphology. Okay, so when I mean morphology, I mean your natural giftings, your physical giftings, your natural giftings. Okay, so right here we believe that gender or female, yeah, because that's what the Bible teaches. So he created created them, male and female created it them. That's what Genesis 2:28 tells us. So over here we believe that's just male, either a male or a female. So understanding your giftings, your your understanding who you are, your person, your gender, and experiencing your gender, exploring your gender. That is what sexuality simply entails. Okay, so why do they need to be taught sexuality, which I already stated initially that the society is getting worsened by the day, and we cannot just let them to their own knowledge or whatsoever they get to learn outside. Because if they do not learn it at home, they will learn it outside. They will definitely learn it somewhere. And you don't want them learning it from the wrong places. Right. So, teaching kids sexuality, how is that possible? How is that possible, right? Before I go into how that is possible to teach a child or teach kids on sexuality, firstly, I would make you understand children, how children are wired, or how humans are wired um, generally. So we are wired in a way that as kids, we observe and we explore. Right. So two things that are very common, like it's very common between amongst children is they will observe and they will definitely explore. So when you see them climbing here and there, they are kids. They will definitely explore. They want to see how this will feel like. They will hello praise. They want to see how this will feel like climbing here, or they want to see how it feels like maybe tasting. Do you get? So they're trying to explore things. They're even licking their tongue. They're even licking their toe, like their foot. Do you get? So these are kids, and kids should be kids. However, kids, even if like you're saying kids to be kids, that's why you are present in their life to guide them, to instruct them, to groom them, to nurture them. So yes, let kids be kids, let them play, let them freely do certain things so that you can know their possibilities. So they're not doing it because you can't teach them, but you let them do it because you want them to explore so you can find out their possibilities. And like I said, children will observe and they will explore. So never you lose your childlikeness because it helps you to scale better heights. You can't know your possibilities if you're not given room to explore. You would agree with me. So now, why do we teach kids, or how do we teach them sexuality? They don't need to know all the graphic stories and all the details on and all. They have to only know things based on their level. Based on their level. And based on level of kids, I will be speaking today so that just as a guide to help you when you're talking to your child about sexuality. Okay, so firstly, I need you to understand that you have to also be an example. Be an example, because I said they observe, they explore. Be an example in terms of you do not leave your door open when you're making out with your spouse. Yeah, they are your kids, or you don't leave the room open when you're making out and stuff like that. So they will observe and they will explore. So please, let's keep them safe. All right, so right into it. How do we teach them? Firstly, make them understand that the body has two parts. Yeah, the body has two parts. Yes, we have our head, our shoulder, our knees, our toes, our eyes, our nose, our ears, our mouth, and our hands, right? But they need to understand that the body has two parts. Two parts. The private and the public. And you also need to understand that the body has two parts. The private and the public. And what is public needs to be, what is public can be public. What is private should be private. All right. So that being said, what is private? Private is obviously what it is. Private, it is something that is not accessible to the public, or should not be accessible to the public. It's like a secret. It's like a confidential information. Yeah. It's like a secret, a confidential information that is private. It shouldn't be known to the entire public. It shouldn't be seen by the entire public. They say you don't wash your dirty linens outside. You don't show your private outside. And which makes me wonder the rave around dressing nowadays. Like recent dressing have just deteriorated, seriously deteriorated in our society. You see a lady showing their belly button, showing areas that shouldn't even be seen. Do you get? Like there are even some enabling wears that is very tight. It's very tight on the body, and when the lady wears it or a lady wears it, you can figure out the whole component of the lady's body, right? Which should be private. Okay, so it's private. It shouldn't be seen unnecessarily. It shouldn't be seen by the public. It shouldn't be accessible. Before I go into which is private, which is public, now that can be seen by the public, that can to the public. Okay, so it's more like a general phenomenon that is public. So now, which is public, which is private? You will ask me, right? Public and private. Let's begin with what public, parts of the body that are public. The parts that are public are parts where are accessible to the public, accessible to people. Maybe I want to give you a handshake. I need to see the road, like I need to see where I see the path where I'm walking through. So, right, it has to be public. There's no need covering my head, my whole face, because I need it to see. I need it for identification as well. Okay, so it should be public, yeah? I need it for identification. It should be public. My face, okay? My eyes. It should be public because I need it for identification. I need it to walk without stumbling, okay? Accessible to the public. Handshake, accessible to the public. My legs, I can't raise my legs. My legs are accessible to the public. And when I mean my feet. Okay, because I need to walk. Alright. So these are major parts that are accessible to the public. It's not going into which is private, which is very important. And you might be wondering, why are we taking time knowing what is public, what is private? If you don't know what is public, if you don't know what is private, how would you be able to explain to a child that when you're being touched in certain way, in certain places, you need to speak up, you need to refuse it, you need to refute it, it shouldn't continue. You won't be able to, okay? So, private is what is not accessible to the public. Accessible might mean accessible by touch, accessible by sight, accessible, yeah, I already said by touch, by sight, basically accessible to the public. It is not accessible to the public. Parts of the body that is not accessible to the public are primarily the genital area. So, yeah, you need to know how to explain to your child the genital area. And gone are those days when you have to use some code words. Sometimes, depending on the child, you might have to use the name, the scientific name is the scientific name, it's not a vulgar name. The scientific name of those parts of the body. Okay? So, depending on your child and the level of your child's exposure and reasoning, you might have to use the scientific name of those parts of the body. So, the genital area, the chest area, the armpit area, the navel area, the thigh area, yes, even the lip area. Yes, they can see your mouth, you're talking, but it shouldn't be something, an object of play, where someone is playing with the mouth or the armpit. One you get, those are private. Those are private, and you will know why I'm saying this. Over time, there have been an increase in molestation and in abuse of young people, and this is because a lot of them, they don't know what these parts are. But right now, I've clarified the private and the public. And now, why should the private be private? It should be private because it's private. It should be private. Yes. It belongs to you. What belongs to you shouldn't be tampered with by someone else. It belongs to you to protect. See it as your secret. So you tell your child, this is your secret. This is your secret. Do not tell. Do not tell. Do not show. Do not flaunt. Because it's a secret. Secret should be kept what? Secret, yeah. And one other thing I would say is try having these conversations early enough, before the child begins to encounter threats. So when you know that a child can understand, beginning to pick certain things, I think from the age of 3, you start letting the child know that this is your private part. It shouldn't be touched. If you touch your private part, what do? You scream. Yes. Anyone that touch your private, what do? You scream. You tell mommy, you tell daddy. Begin to chip it into your playtime, your conversations. With that, you build trust. You enlighten your child, right? Yes, they are still small, but they know what to do when situations like that arises. And with that, you can be able to preserve your child against molestation. I'm not saying that these people that um, maybe faced molestation, they didn't preserve their child. No. I'm only saying this or making this video so that we can preserve more children from. They don't need to have traumas. They don't need to heal from traumas. Traumas don't make anyone strong. Yes. Traumas don't make anyone strong. Okay, so they don't need those traumas, please. So I'm saying this as I wrap it up, that be intentional with your kids. Be intentional about their sexuality. Be intentional to guide them. Be intentional to lead them. Be intentional, please, as parents, as elderly ones, as aunties, uncles. Yeah, I don't have a child yet, but I look forward to imbibing these same things into them. All right, so thank you if you watched till this point. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for staying locked in. Okay, so please, if you've not subscribed, click on the subscribe button, turn on your notification, and share. Also, if there is any topic you would want us to discuss in our next episode on kids matters, feel free to drop in the comments, and I would do justice to it. Thank you so much for joining in, and that will be it on today's episode. Thank you. Bye.